"Sit down," she said. Her tone wasn't worried, wasn't guilty. It was composed. "Let me tell you the truth," she said, almost like she was offering me a damn gift. "Your best friend Jake gave me the baby I always dreamed of." I didn't react right away. I wish I could say I flipped the table or cursed or laughed in her face. But I just sat there, blinking. The kind of blink your body does when your soul's trying to exit without a trace. "We've been together for years," she said, like it was some twisted badge of honor. "Your parents love him more than they love you. And don't bother trying to fix this. They're already organizing our engagement party next week." That was the moment she smiled. Smiled. As if she hadn't just torched a decade of my life. What she didn't know, what she never saw coming, was that I'd already known. I'd felt the shift months ago. The way Jake stopped calling me by my name and started using phrases like, "bro," a little too often. The way she started humming around the house more often than usual, but never around me. But I needed proof. Something ironclad. And she gave it to me. See, I'd been recording our conversations for weeks, paranoia dressed up as precaution. But this one? I'd been streaming it. Live. One tap on my phone before I walked in. That's all it took. A direct upload to the cloud, and a copy sent to 3 people. First, to the judge handling our custody and divorce proceedings. Second, to my lawyer, who had warned me, don't confront her until you have leverage. And third, to Jake's wife. You know, the one who's 7 months pregnant and thinks he's just been pulling late shifts at the gym? She texted me 3 words after watching the video: "Let's burn them." My soon-to-be ex-wife didn't see the message light up my screen. She was too busy admiring the sound of her own betrayal. I got up. Calm. Quiet. My blood boiling under the surface, but my face unreadable. That's the trick, you know. They expect anger. What they never expect is precision. "You done?" I asked. She looked stunned for a second. I think she expected a meltdown. Maybe a begging session. Maybe even a slap, because that's how she views men, as reactive. Simple. But I wasn't a man anymore. Not her man. I was something else now, something sharp and cold and absolutely done playing nice. I didn't say another word. Just walked upstairs, kissed my boy on the forehead, Jake's boy, according to her, and packed a small duffel bag. I already had an apartment rented across town. Lease signed last week. Paid in cash. Before I left, I handed her one thing: an envelope. Inside were printouts. The video confession. A copy of the prenup, which she'd breached. And a court date. I left her in that house with the baby monitor buzzing, her mouth open, and the slow realization creeping across her face like rot. Jake? He didn't last a week. His wife kicked him out before the ink dried on the envelope I mailed her. She's keeping the baby. Filed a restraining order. My parents? Well, turns out they didn't know the full story. Yes, her little tale about Jake being more of a man didn't land quite as well when they saw the video of her spitting venom about their own son. So now? Now she's alone. No Jake. No ring. No party. Just her lies and a blinking monitor in an empty house. The morning after her confession went viral, because yeah, viral is the right word when you accidentally stream your own damn villain monologue to 3 people with more power than you thought. You'd think she'd stay quiet. Reflect. Hide. But no. She called me. Like I was the one who owed her an explanation. I let it ring the first time. Second time, too. But on the third, I picked up. Not because I wanted to hear her voice, but because I wanted her to hear mine. "Hello." "Listen," she started, that shaky, breathless tone women use when they think charm can still fix a disaster. But I cut her off. "You're on speaker, and this line's being recorded." Silence. Beautiful, thick silence. She stammered. "I just wanted to talk. You blindsided me." "That video, You mean your video?" I asked, letting the weight of that sink in. Because all I did was hit record. She had the audacity to scoff. "You didn't have to send it to Jake's wife. That was cruel." I didn't even flinch. "Cruel." I repeated slowly. "Cruel is lying to someone's face every night while building a future with their best friend. Cruel is letting me hold that boy like he was mine, knowing damn well he never was." And then I dropped the match. "Oh, and cruel?" "Cruel is assuming my parents would always side with you. Because guess what? That little engagement party she bragged about? Canceled. And not quietly. My mother, sent her a text that simply said, 'We no longer associate with women who betray our blood.' Turns out the video of her gloating didn't sit too well with the same folks who paid for half her graduate degree, let her move into our house rent-free, and treated her like a daughter. She made a tactical error. She assumed silence meant submission. I ended the call without another word. The next few days moved like chess pieces, every hour another strategy, another move. My lawyer worked overtime. DNA test? Rushed and confirmed. Not mine. No surprise. Custody? Not applicable. She tried to keep me in the dark, but now she was legally exposed. Jake tried to reach out. Left voicemails that sounded like a man slowly realizing the hole he dug wasn't just deep, it was wide, and he wasn't getting out clean. His wife, Camille? A damn force of nature. She didn't just kick him out, she named him in her divorce filing and sent a copy of the court summons to his gym, stapled to a list of his extracurricular activities. Word spread fast. He showed up to our old house one night. I know because she called me afterward. I didn't let him in, she said, her voice hoarse. He begged, cried, said he made a mistake. I didn't say a word. I let her sit in that silence. Do you think there's any way we can fix things? She whispered. That was the moment I realized she still didn't get it. No, I said. Because you didn't break a plate. You burned down the kitchen. What they didn't know, what no one knew, was that I'd already started building something new. The apartment I moved into? It wasn't some bachelor dump. It was the first floor of a triplex I bought quietly 3 months ago under a trust name. I'd had a gut feeling. Turns out, my gut's smarter than my heart ever was. I was setting myself up to win before they even knew they were playing a game. Now, I'm renovating the other 2 floors. One for income, one for space. Because this next chapter of my life, it's not about revenge anymore. That part's handled. This is about peace. Real peace. The kind that comes when you've scorched the weeds and made room for growth. But make no mistake, I'm still watching. Because people like her, like Jake, they don't just stop. They come back when the dust settles, playing the victim, rewriting history. But this time, I'll be ready. And when they show up, there won't be a door for them to knock on. It had been a month since the confession, the nuclear moment that turned my life into scorched earth and strangely fertile ground. My phone barely rang. Jake was gone. She'd moved out. Camille blocked them both. My parents reached out once, then backed off like I asked. I needed the silence. I was rebuilding. Slowly. Purposefully. It was a cold Thursday when the letter came, no return address, just my name scrawled in handwriting I hadn't seen in years. I opened it like a bomb tech, carefully, methodically. The scent hit me first. Lavender and paper. Old perfume. My stomach flipped. Claire. Not my ex. Not Jake. Not family. Claire was the name before the disaster. Before 10 years of pretending the right woman had married the wrong man. Before betrayal smelled like designer lotion and sounded like Jake gave me the baby I always dreamed of. Claire was the one who slipped through my fingers a lifetime ago, when I was young, stupid, and still believed loyalty was an instinct. Her letter was simple. No flowery apologies. No dramatic monologue. I heard about what happened. Through a friend. I know it's not my place, but I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. Not for what she did. For what I couldn't say back then. You were the only honest man I knew. I never forgot that. If you ever want to talk. I'm around. No number. Just an address. A town 3 hours away. It wasn't a cry for help. It was a door left slightly open. I didn't jump. Didn't throw bags in the car like some desperate man looking to patch holes with ghosts. But I folded that letter. Tucked it into my drawer. And I thought. Meanwhile, my ex, let's just call her L now, decided that silence must have meant weakness. I guess it's hard for someone like her to grasp that some people rebuild in quiet. She sent a message through my lawyer. Not to apologize. No, of course not. She wanted to discuss financial arrangements. Apparently, Jake wasn't exactly Mr. Stability. Camille had locked down all joint accounts. He was couch surfing and jobless. And Elle? She was back living with her sister, the same one who always said I was too boring to last. My lawyer, bless her, a steel-nerved woman with zero patience for games, responded with a forward email. He's not interested. Goodbye. That was it. That's all Elle got. And if she was hoping to claw her way back into relevance, she picked the wrong opponent. Because what she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd already been working on something behind the scenes. Before the storm hit, Jake and I had been developing a software prototype. A tool for secure communication within small private teams. Not flashy, but solid. Something with potential. Only, he'd stopped showing up. Said it wasn't viable. Turned out he was too busy viably sleeping with my wife. But I kept building it. Quietly. Alone. Now, I'd renamed it. Rebranded it. Echolink. Private. Clean. No data harvesting. Bulletproof encryption. Beta ready. I pitched it last week to a mid-tier cybersecurity firm. They ate it up. Wanted exclusivity. We're talking 7 figures. So while she's sending pitiful legal feelers and Jake's couch hopping like a washed-up frat bro, I'm on the verge of launching something real. Something mine. And maybe that's the twist in all this. She thought I was broken. Thought I'd collapse under the weight of her betrayal. But all she did was cut the anchor. Later that week, I took a drive. Not 3 hours to Claire. Just around town. The air smelled like wood smoke. Windows were glowing. It was the kind of night made for forgiveness. But not from me. Forgiveness? That's earned. She'll never see that version of me again. I didn't plan to see him. Jake. I figured we'd never cross paths again, like 2 freight trains derailed in opposite directions, miles apart. But fate, that twisted little puppeteer, had other ideas. It was a Tuesday. I was at a local hardware store, picking up drywall screws and a replacement blade for my miter saw. Renovating the 2nd floor of my building was therapy at this point. I liked the way wood didn't lie. You cut it. It showed. No secrets. No betrayal in its grain. I turned a corner in the aisle, and there he was. Same stupid varsity jacket swagger he never outgrew. Same tattoo on his forearm that we both got when we were 23 and invincible blood before betrayal. Irony's a hell of a drug. He was skinnier than I remembered. Hollow around the eyes. You can tell a man's unraveling by the way he stands when he thinks no one's watching. He looked up and froze. We locked eyes. You ever seen guilt wear a human face? That was it. Hey, he said, voice low. Meek. I didn't say a word. He shifted, hands in his pockets. Nervous twitch. I counted 3 seconds of silence before he cracked. I didn't mean for it to happen, he said. We were drunk, and then it just lasted for years? I finally said, my voice low, flat. You tripped into my wife for years, Jake? He looked down at the floor, then back up at me. She told me she was leaving you. I smiled, but there was nothing friendly about it. She also told me I was the father. Jake flinched. I stepped closer. Not aggressive. Just enough. You were the godfather, I said. You held him in your arms at the hospital. You told me you'd take a bullet for us. He swallowed hard. I know. You lied to my face every time we drank beer on my porch. You smiled at my family's barbecues while you were sleeping with my wife. He had the nerve to look wounded. We were both miserable. She said you were cold. Controlling. I chuckled. Controlling? You mean like buying her a car? Paying off her student debt? Building her a home? No response. Just the twitch of his jaw. I leaned in. Close enough to smell the shame on him. She never told you about the camera, did she? His eyes widened. Yeah. I recorded her confession. And sent it to Camille. He froze. You should check your mail, Jake. She filed last week. Custody's not looking good either, especially not after your little performance on camera. He paled. Oh, and by the way, I added, reaching into my coat and handing him a piece of paper. That's your portion of the business contract you ghosted on. You broke NDA. I sold the tech. He looked at the paper like it was a death certificate. 7 figures. No name. Your name's not on it, I said. Because you bailed. So I did it solo. You can't do that, he said, his voice rising. I just did. Then I walked away. Left him standing in the aisle with screws in one hand and the bill for his sins in the other. Later that night, I got a text from an unknown number. You didn't have to destroy him. I loved you once. It was her. I stared at it. Laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was pathetic. And I sent her just 2 words back. You didn't. I got the results on a Friday. Plain envelope. No frills. No dramatic stamp. Just a neatly printed label. Paternity results, confidential. I didn't open it right away. I stared at that thing like it was loaded, like the truth was ticking just beneath the seal. You tell yourself you're ready, but you're not. Not when it's about a child. Not when it's about the little boy who smiled like you and laughed when you made monster faces behind your coffee cup. But I opened it. Because I had to. Because I already knew. Probability of paternity, 0%. I didn't move. Didn't cry. Didn't curse. I just sat there. You ever feel something break without a sound? Not like glass. More like bone. Quiet. Deep. Permanent. My hand shook. Not from anger, but from mourning. Because in that moment, I wasn't just letting go of her. Or Jake. Or the life they stole. I was letting go of him. I'd named him. Painted his room. Held him at 2 a.m. while she slept. Whispering promises in the dark that I'd protect him. raise him, never leave. Turns out promises don't mean much when DNA doesn't back them up. But here's the twist. That night, I drove to the park, the one with the swings he liked. I sat on a bench with a coffee and watched the sunset bleed across the sky like something holy. And I made a decision. He wasn't my blood, but he was still my truth. I'd raised him for 3 years. Fed him, bathed him, taught him how to ride a tricycle. I was the one he called daddy when he fell. Not Jake. Me. I wasn't going to abandon that. Not just because some papers said I could. So I filed a petition for psychological parentage the next day. Because what that boy needs isn't a man with matching chromosomes. He needs a man who shows up. And Jake's not that man. Of course, she fought it. Tried to block me. Said it was confusing for him to have multiple father figures. I smiled through my lawyer and replied, "You weren't confused when you were sneaking 2 fathers into one household." The judge set a hearing. And here's where karma laced up her boots. Camille, Jake's ex, volunteered to testify. Apparently, Jake had started ducking visitation with their son, claimed he was too overwhelmed. Meanwhile, he was on Tinder, still telling women he worked in tech. He's got a baby he ignores, and another he barely acknowledges, but he sure likes pretending he's father of the year. That's going to look real nice in court. I visited the boy yesterday. My boy. She didn't know I was coming. Her mother was babysitting. When I walked through the door, his face lit up like Christmas lights. He ran straight into my arms and said, "Daddy, where you been?" And I swear to God, the world just stopped. I didn't cry. He did. Because I held him too long, and he could feel the weight in my arms. We played. We laughed. I read him his favorite dinosaur book, the one where the T-Rex always wins. Before I left, he looked up and asked me, "You coming back tomorrow?" Always. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Cold. Clinical. Like it was designed to squeeze the humanity out of every emotion and reduce everything to exhibits A through Z. But for me, this wasn't just legal strategy. It was personal. She sat on the other side of the room, dressed like innocence. Ivory blouse, soft makeup, a little too much perfume like always. She wouldn't look at me. Good. Because if she did, I might have smiled. Not out of pettiness. Out of certainty. Jake didn't show. No surprise there. He'd been sick for 2 weeks straight. Camille told me he was sick at a bar in Scottsdale, flirting with some influencer who thought he was an executive. The man could lie without blinking, but not under oath. My lawyer stood up. "Your Honor," she began, her voice steady, calm, sharp. "My client is not seeking vengeance. He's seeking continuity, stability. He's been in this child's life since birth. He is, in every way that matters, the boy's father. And he's being punished not for wrongdoing, but for trust." The judge was an older woman. No nonsense. The kind of person who's seen every flavor of family drama, but still held a thread of belief in doing the right thing. "Miss Carter," she turned to my ex, "do you dispute that Mr. Garrison has been the primary father figure for your son?" She shifted, crossed her legs. "He's been present, but I don't think it's in the child's best interest to continue a relationship based on a lie." My lawyer stood up again. "Your Honor, if love is a lie, then let's be clear. This child has been lied to in the best possible way. With stability, with protection, with presence. This isn't about biology. It's about bond." Then came the moment. Camille took the stand. She came in like a storm dressed in silk. Calm on the outside, fury beneath. "I have a child with Jake," she said. "He's missed 4 of the last 5 visitations." I asked him why. He said, and I quote, "Parenting's just not my thing." There was a gasp somewhere in the room. My ex went pale. Camille continued, "If you think Jake Whitmore is ready to take on full-time fatherhood for anyone, let alone a child he's barely acknowledged, you're delusional." She stepped down. No mic drop. No drama. Just facts. And truth. Then the judge asked me to speak. I stood. No script. Just the weight of everything that had happened. "I'm not perfect," I said. "I didn't grow up knowing what a good dad looked like. But I knew I wanted to be one. The day that boy came into this world, I didn't check his DNA. I checked his fingers, his toes. I kissed his head and made a promise to protect him. And I've kept that promise. I'm still keeping it." Then the judge spoke. "This court finds that the petitioner meets the legal standard for psychological parentage. Visitation rights will be granted immediately. A formal parenting plan will be drafted.